Hi everyone, CBSE Class 10 Math video solution to the sample paper given by the board for term 2 of academic year 21-22. This is the basic version of the paper. In this video, we are going to be looking at video solutions to two questions. Both these questions are quadratic equation questions. One of the questions is a 2-mark question section A, which has an internal choice. The other one is a section B question. Let's get started. Find the roots of the quadratic equation 3x square minus 7x minus 6 equals 0. Very straightforward, simple question. All we need to do is basically factorize this quadratic equation by splitting the middle term and arrive at the roots. Let's quickly get that done. The given quadratic equation is 3x square minus 7x minus 6 is equal to 0. We'll have to split this middle term, which is a minus 7, into two parts such that the product of those two parts is equal to the product of the first and the last term. Product of the first and the last term is a minus 18. We need to write this minus 7 into two parts. The product of those two parts should be equal to minus 18. The sum should be equal to minus 7. So, writing it as a minus 9 and a plus 2 will achieve that for us. Product is minus 18, sum is equal to minus 7. So, let's basically rewrite this equation as 3x square minus a 9x plus a 2x minus 6 is equal to 0. 3x common from the first and the second parts of this equation, 3x times x minus 3. Take a 2 common from the third and the fourth terms of this equation on the left hand side, which is x minus 3 is equal to 0. X minus 3 is common to both these parts. Let's take it common outside. So, x minus 3 times 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. The product of these two terms is 0 when at least one of the terms is 0. So, if x minus 3 is a 0, x is equal to 3. That is one of the roots of the quadratic equation. If 3x plus 2 equals 0, then 3x will be equal to minus 2 or x is equal to minus 2 by 3 is the second root of this quadratic equation. So, that is it, done. We got 2 marks for this question, rather straightforward question. Let us look at this question. It is same question, it has got an internal choice. So, second part of this is find the value of k for which the quadratic equation 3x square plus kx plus 3 will have real and equal roots. What is the condition for real and equal roots of a quadratic equation of the generalized form? If the equation is ax square plus bx plus c then is equal to 0, this quadratic equation will have real and equal roots when its discriminant is equal to 0. So, what is the discriminant of a quadratic equation? Discriminant of a quadratic equation is b square minus 4ac. This should be equal to 0 for real and equal roots. The given equation a is equal to a 3, b is equal to k and c is equal to 3. Substitute all of that here. So, b square will be a k square minus 4 times a, which is a 3, c, which is again a 3, is equal to 0. So, k square minus 36 equals 0, or we can say k square is equal to 36, translating to the fact that k is equal to plus or minus 6. K is a plus 6 or k is a minus 6. This quadratic equation 3x square plus kx plus 3 equals 0 will have real and equal roots. Let's look at the second question from the same chapter, quadratic equation. This is a section B question, an interesting one. It is a word problem, question number 10. Figuring out how to translate the information given here into an equation is the crux of solving this, right. So, get started. The sum of the squares of three positive numbers that are consecutive multiples of 5 is 725. Find the three numbers is what the question is. So, what we will do is, let us frame the equation by breaking this information given here about the numbers, right. They said that these are three positive numbers that are consecutive multiples of 5, right. We will start with that, right. We are going to just underline this, three positive numbers that are consecutive multiples of 5. We will come to this later. So, three consecutive multiples of 5. What do we mean by that? Multiple of 5, the next multiple of 5, the one after that. For example, if I am talking about the 10th multiple of 5, the 11th multiple of 5, the 12th multiple of 5 will be three consecutive multiples of 5. We do not know whether we are talking about the 10th multiple of 5, right, that is essentially the crux. So, let us say we the first multiple of 5 that we are interested in is the nth multiple of 5. So, it is going to be n times 5. Instead of a 10 into 5 which we took as an example there, it is going to be n into 5. So, if n is equal to 10, 11 will be n plus 1, the next multiple of 5. So, the first multiple of 5 for us is n into 5, the next multiple of 5 for us is going to be n plus 1 into 5, the the third consecutive one is n plus 2 times 5. So, three consecutive multiples of 5 are n times 5, n plus 1 times 5, n plus 2 times 5. So, numbers that are consecutive multiple, three positive integers which are numbers that are consecutive multiples of 5. We have established what those are. Let's go one step further. We are talking about squares of the three numbers which are basically consecutive multiples of 5. So, we got three consecutive multiples of 5. Let us look at what will be the squares of those three consecutive multiples of 5. So, this is n into 5, I will write it as 5n, we have to square that. So, we will square it individually, 5 square n square, and then again 5 times n plus 1, let us write it, which will make it as 5 square into n plus 1 the whole square. Same for the third term, we will make it as 5 square into n plus 2 the whole square. So, three consecutive multiples of 5. Squares of the three consecutive multiples of 5 is what we are talking about. The third one is basically sum of the squares, right. So, we found out what the squares are. Now, we will have to find the sum of the squares of the three consecutive multiples of 5. So, up till this point, we have those three elements as three separate elements. Let us add them up. So, this 5 square into n square, we will write it as a 25 n square. This one we will write it as a 25 times n plus 1 the whole square, and the third one is 25 into n plus 2 the whole square. So, sum of the squares plus that is equal to 725 is what the question is all about, right. Let's quickly run through it. The question is talking about three positive numbers that are consecutive multiples of 5. So, if the first multiple of 5 is 5n, the second one will be 5 times n plus 1, the third one will be 5 times of n plus 2. Squares of the three consecutive. So, essentially we are going to square these three terms, which will give us 5 square n square, 5 square into n plus 1 the whole square, 5 square into n plus 2 the whole square. Sum of that essentially leaves us with that. They are saying that sum is equal to a 725. 25 is the term common to all three elements in all three terms of the left hand side. Take 25 common outside, or divide this entire equation by 25. So, what we will get is an n square plus n plus 1 the whole square plus n plus 2 the whole square is equal to 725 divided by 25, which is equal to a 29. The next slide, let us basically expand these terms. So, the left hand side is going to be n square plus n plus 1 the whole square is n square plus 2n plus 1. So, this is n square plus 2n plus 1. This is essentially our n plus 1 the whole square. Now, n plus 2 the whole square is n square plus 4n plus 4. So, plus n square plus 4n plus 4, this is equal to a 29. This is n plus 2 the whole square. We have an n square that will leave us with 3n square, 2n plus 4n that will leave us with a 6n, 1 plus 4 is a 5. The 29 comes from the right hand side to the left hand side. 5 minus 29 will leave us with a minus 24 is equal to 0, right. We can divide this entire equation by 3, make it more manageable. So, that will translate to n square plus 2n minus 8 is equal to 0, right. Essentially, we divided it all by 3. So, n square plus 2n minus 8. Sum is a 2 and we want the product to be equal to a minus 8. 4 into 2 will give us an 8. We want a minus 8. So, let us go with a plus 4 and a minus 2. So, this will factorize as n square plus 4n minus 2n minus 8 is equal to 0. N common from the first and the second term, which will leave us with n plus 4, minus 2 common from the third and the fourth term will leave us with another n plus 4, which is equal to 0. So, n minus 2 times n plus 4 is equal to 0 is what we have. So, what are the values of n? N will either be n is equal to a 2 or n is equal to a minus 4. We know that we are talking about squares of positive multiples of 5, which essentially means that n cannot be a minus 4, n has to be a 2. So, n is 2. Is that where the question ends? No, you will not get full marks at that point. We have found everything, but what we need to actually find out is what are those three numbers is what we need to find out. What are the three numbers for us? Look at the three numbers. The three numbers are basically consecutive multiples of 5. So, the numbers for us are basically 5n, 5 times n plus 1 and 5 times n plus 2. We just deduce that n is equal to a 2. So, what will the numbers be? The numbers will be 5 into 2, 5 into 3 and 5 into 4. So, then three numbers for us are basically 10, 15 and 20. Just for our sake, the question stops here, you will get full marks at this point. Let us check out whether the squares of the sum of the squares of these three numbers end up being 725. This is a 10 square is a 100, 15 square is a 225 and 20 square is a 400. 625, 725. So, what we have done is absolutely right. So, three numbers that we have got are basically 10, 15 and 20. Before you leave, I want you to do two things. One, Sign up at online.maxtute.com to get started with CBSE Class 10 Math online tuitions. It takes all of 5 minutes and less than 3 steps to get started. And second thing, I want you to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so that you get notified every time a new video is uploaded. Spread the word about this channel to your friends and classmates.